All right. So, Chucky tier list update. Blah blah blah. We're getting into that. For all the YouTube folks, hello. Welcome to the channel. The Twitch link is below because I have to say that because that's what everybody else says. All right. So, the doll eyes. Basically, it shows you where all of the windows and pallets are within 20 meters while you're in hidey-ho mode. C tier. It's not amazing or anything. You can just run Zancian if you really want that effect, and Zancian works when you're outside of hidey-ho. It's not the most useless thing in the world. One cool thing with this you can do is Slice and Dice lets you go about 18 meters with the dash without any other add-ons. So you can use this to know where to do springboards and whatnot off of certain pallets, which is actually kind of nice. All right, next up, the Good Guy box reduces the cooldown of a successful Slice and Dice hit by 7%. B tier. It's not terrible. I've never seen this actually get me a super big hit before, or super massive benefits. But having a reduced cooldown on a hit is never a bad thing. It lets you catch up faster, and that's, it's never like, oh my god, I can't believe I was able to catch up because of Good Guy box or anything like that. But it's also not one. It's also an add-on that I would say falls in that category of there are times when you would be like, man, I kind of wish I had this add-on. Not a lot of times, but it definitely happens. The strobing lights reduces the terror radius by 6 meters when hidey-ho is on cooldown. C tier. It's good in combination if you're going for a full non-terror radius build. On its own, though, it's not that great. It also increases the charge time of Slice and Dice, which, while technically is a nerf, in some situations can be a buff. And we're going to get into that with the pillow, because that's also going to do the same thing. Because it gives you more time to line up the shot, and it messes with survivors' muscle memory, because they're going to expect it to come out faster than it does. So yeah. Not a terrible add-on, but it's just one of those ones that's so situational, I just would never see myself or anyone actually using it. Tiny Scalpel. You can see pools of blood brighter while you're in hidey-ho, D. This is just... If you really want this effect, I'm just telling you now, run Bloodhounds, but just no. I have tried to make this one work somehow, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth wasting the slot for an actual buff you can get. Up your brightness if you have to, get a filter if you have to, run Bloodhound if you had to. Just don't run this. It's not worth it. There is no situation where I would be like, damn, I wish I had Tiny Scalpel, Next, the automatic screwdriver reduces the cooldown duration of hidey-ho after you miss a Slice and Dice by 10%. I'm putting this one in B. High B. I actually don't think this is as good as some people think it is. I run it for convenience more so than because it's super good. The 10% reduction in the cooldown is great, but once again, it's only if you miss. So it's one of those ones that's kind of rewarding you for being bad or using Slice and Dice for the mobility, which, can be good. Certain maps, certain situations. But it's relying on you missing, and I don't think it's worth bringing for that reason a lot of the times. But if you combine it with some other add-ons, it can be very good. It basically makes sure that... if you combine it with a couple other add-ons, it basically makes it so your hidey-ho just always has a reduced cooldown, which is never a bad thing. The carving knife reduces the cooldown duration of a missed Slice and Dice attack by 95% of the default duration. Also B tier. So, unlike the Good Guy box, instead of reducing your hit cooldown when you land, this reduces it when you miss. Once again, it's one of those things. It's rewarding you for missing, basically. Now, these two right here combined together can actually be very strong because it lets you use Slice and Dice for mobility almost exclusively. Because you can basically Slice and Dice up to a survivor and then immediately hit them. 5% faster isn't anything insane, but it can still land you a hit much faster than it normally would. This is great if you're not very good at microflicks and you tend to miss a lot. However, I would not advise this if you're trying to learn or get better with Chucky. I think it's kind of detrimental unless you're exclusively using Slice and Dice for mobility. The hairspray and candle. Now, I'm a weirdo with this one. So what it does is it reduces the power gauge penalty of basic attacks by 20%. Basically, when you're in hidey-ho mode, when you do a basic attack, you lose 50% of the gauge, no matter where it is. And it's not 50% of its current, it's 50% of the total. This reduces it to 30%. What this allows you to do, as an ad plays, ignore that. What this allows you to do is you can instantly go into hidey-ho mode when you're right on somebody's ass, hit them with an M1, and then charge them immediately with an M2, and basically get it down extremely quickly. This allows more margin of error for that play. Because you can do that normally without this, but this allows for more margin of error. So you can do it even when your gauge is at like 50%. This is high B for me. I personally know that a lot of other Chucky players don't find the hairspray and candle that good. But I like the playstyle this inhibits, especially if you combine it with Save the Best for Last. This add-on can make you an absolute menace once you get even 4 stacks. Jump Rope. Extends the duration of Slice and Dice by 8% of the default duration. A tier. I've seen some people argue that the 8% isn't enough to justify this add-on. But, I mean, I would rather have that extra 8% than not. And a lot of times it feels to the point to where there's a lot of hits where I wouldn't have gotten without this. Once again, 8% isn't much, but it can be the difference. Especially when we combine it with something like Rat Poison, because we'll get to that. But Rat Poison gives you the aura reading for the full duration of Slice and Dice. This basically just extends that aura reading. The Power Drill reduces the cooldown of hidey-ho mode by 15% after a successful Slice and Dice. A tier. I think it's better than the Screwdriver, 100%. Once again, it's rewarding you for landing the hit. Once you get good with the Slice and Dices, getting that 15% reduction just lets you have it more often and catch up. And while you probably won't have it in that current chase, it can still happen if you need to leave it for whatever reason and come back or go to another survivor, or right after you down a survivor. There's a lot of reasons, or a lot of situations where the power drill can really help you out as far as getting your power back way faster. Portable TV extends the duration of Slice and Dice by 70% once the exit gates have been powered. So much like Jump Rope, which extends it by 8%, this does it by 70%. I am going to get a lot of shame for this one because I think this is where me and Otstarva disagreed a little bit. This is low B for me. And the reason being is I'm not a big fan of a perk or an add-on or a perk that doesn't get any value until in-game. If I can help it. You basically have to combine this with No Way Out and some other perks to slow the game down enough to where when you get to this point, you can get those really, really insane hits. This basically doubles the range of Slice and Dice. To a point to where when the animation happens, the voice line doesn't even follow through because it takes too long. I think it's a fun add-on. I just don't think it's a very good one or a reliable one. Next is the Rat Esther. Do I even have to say what Rat Poison does at this point? If you're watching a Chucky video or on a stream of mine, you know what this fucking add-on does. I will, for consistency's sake, but Rat Poison. While performing a Slice and Dice, the auras of all survivors within 12 meters of you are revealed for 5 seconds. Now, this add-on, on paper, does not sound like it's that great. In practice, though, this add-on is so fucking good. It does so much. Can't find a survivor, but you know the general location? Slice and Dice, and you'll find their aura right there. You're going through a loop on an indoor map, and you don't know which way the survivor's trying to juke you. Rat Poison tells you which way to go. The survivor decided, hey, I'm going to just sit at the pallet. Rat Poison lets you know which side of the pallet they're on, so you know which side to Slice and Dice onto. It's... This add-on, although I think it's way too good to be base kit or anything like that, this add-on does so much for you. It's insane how much this add-on can do for you. It's one of those things where it's getting to a point where I'm trying to stop using it so much so I don't crutch on it. Similar to Cigar Box on Clown. As someone who loves aura reading perks and someone who can do a lot with that information, I'm not the only one, by the way. A lot of people really think this add-on is his best one, and there's total precedent for it. It's insane how much this add-on does for you, and I know I keep saying that, but it's just the truth. All right, running shoes. Performing a scamper, you get a 2% haste bonus for 5 seconds. High C tier. This is really only good combined with one other add-on, and we'll get to that add-on in a little bit. And the problem with this add-on is it's just not enough. Like, it's 5 seconds for 2%, so instead of moving at 110%, you're moving at 112. It's not, you know, terrible or anything, but most times it's not really going to affect if you were going to get a hit or not. 9 times out of 10, if you were going to get a hit with the running shoes, you were going to get the hit anyways. It's just not worth the slot, unless you're doing, like, a pallet build with hard hat, which we'll get into in a minute. Yeah, it's C tier. You'll notice the thing with these 3 down here in C tier, they're very situational add-ons that only work on certain builds. Speaking of, Silk Pillow. I'd put that at high C. It's better than Strobe Light for sure, and the reason for that is that your terror radius is permanently reduced by 4 meters. But it does increase the charge time of Slice and Dice by 75%, which is almost double. Once again, it's not actually a detriment if you know what you're doing, because it allows you to fake out survivors with how long the charge time is, so they start dodging early, and it lets you line the shot up better and kind of take an assessment of your surroundings. Now, granted, there are times, a lot of times, when you would be like, damn, I would have got the hit if I didn't have to charge so long. And the 4 meter reduced terror radius, if you really, really want a 4 meter terror radius loss, just run Monitor and Abuse. If you want to combine this with that, understandable, sure, that's another 10 meters gone. It's great. But on its own, and like general use, it's just not that good, personally. Next, as an add-on Wikipedia shows up. Yardstick, performing a scamper, reveals the aura of all survivors within 12. Now, you might be thinking, well, Rat Poison's S tier. Wouldn't this be S tier? It's high B. High B is about as high as I would put Yardstick. Scampering for the aura reading is great, but 9 times out of 10, if you're scampering, you already know where the survivor is. So it's not the most useful thing in the world. It's not completely useless. You know, there's tall loops where you can't see, so it can be great to, you know, avoid the mind game, but it's just not that good. If the range was a little longer, I could actually see this being really, really oppressive. If it was like 20 meters, this add-on would be kind of nuts. Or they increase the duration to 10 seconds or something insane like that. Now, granted, you could run lethal and increase it, but on its own, not that good. Even combined with other add-ons, it's not that good. I mean, you can combine it with Hard Hat, maybe, break the pallet, get the aura read, and then you know which way they're going. But once again, when we get to Hard Hat, we'll explain why that's not really a great thing. Mirror Shards. Oh, my favorite add-on in the game. Grants the ability to see the illusionary footfalls around survivors. This is... if I could make another tier on this, and I don't... Well, let me, can I? Can I make another tier? Can I make another tier? I can't. I can't make another tier. Okay, well, let's pretend for a minute, chat and YouTube. Let's pretend. Let's pretend there's another tier after D called Don't Run This Add-on. It's completely useless and will totally hurt your gameplay and just stop. Behavior, please rework this add-on. So what this add-on does isn't that bad of an effect. And when I first saw this add-on, I was like, oh, okay, maybe it has some use. Maybe you can use it to track the survivors, because you'll see where the footfalls go, and you'd be like, okay, they went that way. 1, the footfalls don't work like that. And 2... okay. So, this not only shows you the footfalls, it also lets you hear them. And I know some people are probably going to be like, that's not that big of a deal. Do you understand how distracting it is to hear 4 sets of footsteps when you're chasing somebody you can't see, this add-on will actively hurt you. It will make you miss survivors, not find things, and it's just... I will die on this hill that Mirror Shards is one of the worst designed add-ons in the game. Right next to Singularity's one that lets him hear out of his cameras when that should be base kit. It's just... Just don't run this add-on, please. I'm begging you. That's genuine sympathy in my voice. Just don't. Isle of Nails. Grants the undetectable status effect for 5 seconds after manually ending hidey-ho mode. It's probably low B. This isn't the greatest thing in the world. It can throw survivors off, because they won't see the footsteps anymore, so they won't think you're in your power. So if you run up to a gen on the other side of the map somehow, a lot of survivors will be looking for you because they see the footsteps. But then you activate this, and then the footsteps go away, and now you're still undetectable, and they stop looking, and then you can just brah and you know, survive them or scare the shit out of them. It's also really good to kind of fake your power a little bit because you can end it early and still get the benefits. And once again, they won't expect that coming. But definitely a middle of the road add-on. You can build around it and things like that, but on its own, not that great. Plastic Bag. Probably mid C tier. Plastic Bag. Survivors walking through an illusionary footstep suffer from exhausted for 15 seconds. Mid C tier. Now, I will say, at first, I didn't think this add-on got much use because how often are survivors doing that? I have realized that survivors on gens actually get affected by this a lot. And that's the issue. The survivor you're chasing probably isn't getting affected by this in the slightest. So it's only good on survivors on gens that you're not chasing or actively doing anything to. And 15 seconds isn't that long. They probably take you 15 seconds to get across the map. So, can be useful, but it's so situational, and you have no way of knowing it actually went off without running mirror shards, which you probably shouldn't run. So it's just C tier. I've never run this add-on and been like, yo, plastic bag value. There's like no way to know. There's literally no way to know this add-on did anything. Razor, yeah, low A. It's just a good add-on. It's mangled and hemorrhage on your ability. Combine it with Slot Butcher, you're always applying it. I mean, that's just insta slowdown in your kit. Not much slowdown, but it's there. Alright, we're gonna do the Amulet first and the Hard Hat second, because I got a lot to say about the Hard Hat. Iridescent Amulet extends the duration of Hidey-Ho by 50%. Basic attack immediately ends Hidey-Ho mode. S tier. I think the Watermelon build is one of the best builds in the game for Chucky. It's just 100% beneficial. The only time you really don't want to run this add-on is if you're running, like, Hairspray, because the negative basically cancels this out. Now, it does mean you can never do, like, a hit and then into a slice and dice, but extending the duration... You know what? You know, I actually put this in S tier last time. After playing around with it, yeah, probably high A tier, not S tier. I think the only S tier is honestly just rat poison. But yeah, Amulet's just good overall. Like, there's never a situation where I'm like, damn, I brought Amulet. Most of the time. They do come up and then often. I just think this is a really good, well-designed iridescent add-on. And the downside isn't really a downside if you know what you're doing. Last... The Hard Hat. Instantly breaks pallets from performing Scamper under them. Automatically ends Hidey-Ho mode. I did a whole video on this add-on and why you shouldn't run it. And much like with Mirror Shards... In fact, I'll put it above Mirror Shards and I'll explain why. There we go. This is a D tier add-on. It is sad to say that this is a D tier add-on, but... This add-on detrimentally hurts you. 9 times out of 10, if you were going to get the hit because you broke the pallet and they ran away, you were going to get the hit anyways with a slice and dice. Or just by scampering and hitting them, or doing a double scamper. This add-on basically limits your options, and that's never... And not like the way Amulet does. This literally limits your options. You get 1 scamper per charge. Now, you could build around this. It can be very fun, and there were some some maps where this is insane, but it's so situational, and a lot of times destroying a pallet isn't always the best play. Sometimes you want to keep it up as not only a springboard, but to give the survivors a place to run to that you know you can hit them at. That's my mini rant on hard hat. Stop using this add-on, and I wish people would stop saying it's OP, because it's not OP. It's not OP.